Hey, everybody, and thank you once again for joining us on another episode of Mouthful. And it's actually this season's finale episode until June. We'll be back in June, y'all, so we won't be gone long. So, in the meantime, make sure that you are following us on all of our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is Mouthful Space TV, and also make sure you guys check out A Taste of the Culture. Okay, like we've been talking about this all season. If you haven't done it by now, do it right now. Like right now. Just pause the video and just go to tasteofculture.com. Make sure you put in promo code Mouthful for 25% off your subscription. And make sure that you guys check us out for our Thirsty Thursday. So make sure you visit our website for mouthful-tv.com is our website where you can get the details of all of that there. So I am so excited for a number of different reasons because I guess it's because the finale episode. I'm just like,
I'm excited about this episode a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it. Who are we interviewing today, Star?
Oh, all right. Mouthful TV. We would like to welcome Dallas's own Tashara Parker.
Yes.
Hello, Tashara. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. We're like giddy little 5-year-olds, just so excited for this. You have no idea. So thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome.
Yeah, so for the people, if you don't know, which you should know, but we'll be sure that you do know, we have Dallas's own of WFAA Channel 8, Tashara Parker with us. She is a journalist, an advocate, and basically just a storyteller on television. So Tashara, you have such a likable personality and a vibrance about yourself. How did your love for journalism come into play?
Oh, wow. That's crazy because initially I just wanted to tell stories. And I'll be honest with you, when I first went to college, I was a first generation college student. No one in my family had been to college prior to me. And it's crazy to say that in 2010, 2006, some people probably saying that now, you know what I mean? And so when I first went to college, I really didn't fully understand what I wanted to be. All I know is that my grandmother who raised me, she used to watch CSI and all those little cop shows. And I thought I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. So when I initially went, I was just studying science, and entomology was the name of the major. And again, I thought I wanted to do forensic psychology. But they sent me out to do some sciencey stuff, and I was like, this ain't gonna work. So anyway, ended up having some conversations with my advisor at the time in college, and I just started really thinking about, okay, well, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And I've always enjoyed storytelling. I've always enjoyed trying to uplift people around me, people in my community, because we didn't really see positive stories consistently on the news about people in our community. So that was something that I kind of gravitated towards. I didn't really know anything about journalism. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I didn't know anything, about this profession. Yes, I knew that I saw people on TV, but, I was like, oh, I want to be on TV. Like, what does that really mean? Right. I didn't know that it was called a journalist. And I say all that because I really want people to understand, like, once you get to a certain level, people think, oh, she got it good, or she got it made, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, no, sweetheart, like, you got to understand where people came from to know how they got to where they are. Wow. And I knew nothing. And so really it stemmed from me just loving people, loving to be around people, loving to tell stories. And so that's kind of how I slowly kind of transitioned into journalism.
Well, you do it very well. And one thing that you actually hit on was representation for our community. And when I compare and look at other cities around our nation, inner cities, they have a lot of representation of people of color. And when you look at Dallas,
what cities?
Well, when I think about it, where I'm going with this is compared to Dallas, Dallas is a very big melting pot, right? And so the diversity that you brought, where you went viral, you went viral on social media for all of the right reasons. And in my mind, we became cousins. I was like, look at
cousins. Yes. it's going to be even worse after today. She is my cousin.
Exactly.
I know you, girl.
For the look, for your aesthetic, and for your crown, meaning your hair. So that was
Yes.
so beautiful to see for Dallas,
Yeah.
for Dallas. So what did that do for you and your brand when you saw yourself go viral?
Well, I'll start off by saying I was just being me. I was just
Yep.
being Tashara. A
Yeah.
lot of people always say, "Oh, well, how did you do it?" or "How did it happen?" I don't know. Being Tashara. You ask anybody who goes viral, quote unquote, for whatever reasons, they're going to tell you, "Oh, I was just being me." A lot of people don't set out to make these things happen. They just happen in the right time, in the right place, whatever the case may be. You'll often hear people say, "Oh, you got the right one today." And
Mhm.
when that happened to me and the people started saying what they needed, not needed, what they wanted to say about my hair, I was like, oh, you got the right one today. Because
Yeah.
I'm not just going to let you come at me and continue to come at me and continue to come at me and continue to come at me, whether it's through messages or emails to the station or in my inbox, whatever it was. I was like, oh, no, boo. Y'all must don't know where I just came from. Like, we ain't going there today. And so as it relates to branding, I wasn't thinking about any of that.
Mhm.
I've always been a type of person where I knew that I wanted to make sure that whatever community I got to, that I wanted to establish myself as someone who wanted to tell our stories. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I see a lot more people trying to do that now, but I knew that from the jump that
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do. And so even before this whole viral thing, you have to understand that I had been in Dallas for what was it, 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, for a little bit of time. And so even prior to that situation, it probably was longer than that now that I think about it. But anyways, even prior to that situation, I was already doing my thing. I was already telling stories. I was already trying to figure out how to make sure that I was establishing who I was here and to make sure that people knew that they had somebody they can come to if they didn't feel like they already had someone they can come to prior to me getting here. And so to tell their stories. And
Yeah.
so I was already doing that. So in regards to what it did for the brand, it really just elevated the conversation even more. Conversations that I was already having prior to the situation. And it allowed me to tell even more stories surrounding Black hair and professionalism because I wasn't necessarily just telling stories about that. I was telling stories about Black people and culture and all
Right.
the things that we deal with on a consistent basis, but it wasn't specifically about hair because it
Right.
wasn't something that I often thought about. Again,
Mhm.
was just being Tashara.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's elevated those voices, it's elevated that conversation, and it's allowed me to bring more people into the fold to let other folks know
Yeah.
that our hair should not be of their concern. So,
That's
yeah, that's
right.
what it did for the quote unquote brand.
Right. And your genuine factor just obviously shows on camera. And everything works for a reason. So I can't say it's crazy or a coincidence. It was supposed to happen, but here we are in the bill passed, I believe, 2019 or 2020 called the Crown Act.
Mhm.
Like here we are in the 2000s, and we have to have a bill that passes called the Crown Act, established in California, which basically prohibits any type of discrimination for a person's hairstyle or texture. And since then, only 6 other states have taken on that act, one being New York, another being Colorado, and a few more. So, can we go into that, how that kind of plays into your Rooted series? Because that is just awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, so the Crown Act has been passed in a few states as of right now, as of 2021, when we're having this conversation as of April, what is it, April 2021?
Yeah.
Yeah, as of April 2021, when we're having this conversation, and probably as of May as well, because I just don't know how many more pass it, by May or June or this summer. And so I say that to say that the Crown Act plays a huge role in Rooted, which is a series that was kind of developed after all of the viral hairstyles and things along those lines that happened back in October of 2020. So basically, how the Crown Act plays into it is it's exactly what you said. It's a law that will make it illegal for someone to discriminate against you based on your hair or textures. And so what that means is anyone who's wearing their hair, whether it's in an afro, braids, twists, whatever, someone can't tell them, you can't wear your hair that way, or that is considered unprofessional, or they would be, that would be grounds for a lawsuit, right?
Right.
And so right now, and a host of other things, right? There are a lot of things that goes into the law, but I'm just speaking, generalities. That's one thing that could potentially happen. And so the reason that I wanted to make sure that I included the Crown Act in Rooted, which takes a transgenerational look at Black hair, the reason that I wanted to include it is because I thought it was important for people to not just talk about these things, to know that people are dealing with them on a daily basis, but to know that there's something that you can do. You can learn all this stuff that I'm trying to teach you with Rooted every single day, every single week, rather. But if you're not willing to act on that conversation, then it means nothing. You got to turn all of these conversations into some type of power, into some type of acting, right? So
Yes.
what are you going to do now that you know that these are things that your coworkers, your friends, your colleagues are dealing with on a your classmates are dealing with on a consistent basis? You can go and sign the petition for the Crown Act. So that was my kind of call to action, because one thing about me is I hate just telling stories all the time and I don't give people a call to action. So these are the stories that I'm telling by way of Rooted. Here's your call to action. Are you going to try to support the Crown Act? Are you going to share this story so that other people know that this is happening? Or what are you going to do? Are you just listening just to be another listening ear? Because there's work that needs to be done. So that's how it kind of ties in with the Crown Act.
Definitely. That is awesome. And the plan of action, that is what we need.
Yeah.
That is definitely what we need. Do you personally think we'll see Texas making that move in the near future? I figured I'd get that one in there.
I don't know if we'll see Texas making the move. And let me tell you why. Why I don't know yet. Because one, let me say this first. We're going to have the Crown Act, Capitol Crown Act Day is coming up in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Aside from that, the reason I don't know if Texas is going to pass it is because you guys know what we just dealt with the winter storm. So I say that to say that that's taken precedent in this legislative session because so many more people were impacted by that, right? You had people dying, you had people without electricity, all these different things that were happening. And legislators at this point are trying to figure out, okay, well, how in the heck could that have happened, in a state as large as ours, right? Who claims to have all these fun, whatever. So I think that, and I know for a fact that has taken precedent over a lot of different issues that should have been at the forefront of this legislative session, in my opinion, including the Crown Act. So that's one of the reasons. Not to mention Texas is Texas. All right. It is what it is. I love my state. I'm from this state, born and raised here, but Texas is Texas. And I just don't know if we're going to have the amount of support that's needed to get this thing passed. And so, we'll see. We'll see. They're supposed to have conversations about it here soon. I'm hoping that those conversations happen. But like I said, there's so many other things, big, very, very important things. I'm not going to say more important, but I'm just going to say very, very important things that have taken precedent, and for good reason.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what advice would you give? And I don't even want to say to the little girls, because it's grown women, me, that look up to you. So what advice would you give to both young and old just on how to love yourself, love your crown, love everything that you're in? Like, what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, it's not something that you guys probably haven't heard before. It's really just about taking up space wherever you go. A lot of times when you take up space, it's going to seem real lonely and it's going to feel lonely. And sometimes it downright is going to be lonely. And I say that with my experience here in Dallas. Early on when I was doing some of these stories, again, about Black voices, elevating Black voices, amplifying Black voices, I was doing that before it became this whole thing to do because of, the growing popularity of people wanting to support the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm not just saying Black Lives Matter, the organization, but I'm saying people finally saying Black Lives Matter who you probably would never hear say something like that, right? And so I was already telling these stories prior to coming to Dallas, and even when I got here. And when I first got here, people looking at me crazy. Well, you only tell these type of stories, or you only do this type of this. And all of a sudden it became this thing that was popular to do. You know what I mean? And so I would say wherever you go, even when it's lonely, continue to take up space. Right? Of course, take care of your mental health. Don't let people just, bring you down, get the proper treatment and help and assistance that you need. Because I'm an advocate of therapy.
Yes.
But I just really would tell people take up space. When you walk into a space, don't adjust. I always say, don't adjust your temperature to the temperature that's in the room. you elevate the temperature, right? Like you be the reason that someone else has a good day. Like you be the reason that you change the whole vibe of the room simply because you are there. And I've witnessed that happen. And a lot of times too, specifically as it relates to women, men deal with this too, but I'm just saying specifically as it relates to women, we are told, you know, when you walk into a room, just blend in, just do this, just do that. And sometimes even by women, you know, they'll look at you like, okay, you're doing too much, right? And I would just say, wherever you go, take up space. Baby, let them look. Let them look, let them talk, let them do what they're going to do, because whether you take up space or not, they still going to have something to say.
And
So
that's a word.
that's it. Don't take up space wherever you go.
That is a word. Well, please let the people know where they can find you, follow you, be an advocate for what you're doing.
If they don't already.
They should.
Okay.
Yeah, they can follow me on all the social media streets, okay? At Tashara Parker. It's just my name. So it's fairly simple if you spell my name correctly, because people will say Shatara in a heartbeat. But it's Tashara, Tashara Parker. Really everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, if you're still on there. All the stuff, okay?
I am.
All right, show my age.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I would be remiss if I did not shout out a member of the Divine Nine, a lady of the devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So I'm showing you some skewed love. So appreciate
Oh,
yes.
don't have me ooh on here.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
It's fine, right?
All day, all day.
Definitely, yes. Representation for Divine Nine, for Black Greeks everywhere. This is a movement. This is
Yeah.
awesome what you're doing. And we just thank you again for gracing us on Mouthful TV. It means so much. And we really do continue to give you blessings on everything that you're doing for the community.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And look out for Rooted next May, this coming May rather. And we got some big stories. I'm focusing on the fellas for the entire month of May as it relates to Rooted. So yeah, tap in.
And
That's
Des
all
just
I
cut
got,
your
y'all.
Absolutely.
locks. You just cut your
I
locks,
just cut
Des.
my locks off.
Did you
11
really?
years. I did. I had them for 11, almost 12 years.
Some of these stories might still resonate though.
There you
We'll
go.
see.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
have them.
You do you really? Oh, yeah, that's what's up, man. All right,
We'll
well,
definitely be on the lookout.
yes, please, and let me know if y'all need anything in the future.
We thank you so much.
So
Thank
much,
you again.
Tashara. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Y'all are so welcome. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
cousin.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Right. We're all family. That's cousin now.
No.
She is just so just her aura.
That's
Like she's the
Real nice
beautiful
energy. Love
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Very, very. So be sure, for any of our fans that aren't, really about the news, she will definitely make you want to watch the news. And not just for the aura that she gives and the looks factor and what she's doing, but what she's doing for our community. She really is a storyteller of her time. So thank you again, Tashara Parker.
Let's get into this topic.
Uh-oh.
About Black entertainment. So what do y'all love the most about Black entertainment? Like, what's your favorite thing that you can think about?
I got one.
That you love. Go, Jen.
As far as Black entertainment, it's just the diversity. Like we are so like we're just able to do anything, put on any type of show for you that you want. And without question, we can do it in a heartbeat. I love how diverse our culture is in entertainment. I love that.
Shout out to Issa Rae, because she did it for me. That Insecure girl.
Like it's like we can be who we want to be. We can just be who we want to be. And I love that. Or we don't have to be that. Like we can do both.
Like Jen, that's literally the word that I wrote down about like this topic, because you hit the nail on the head. We have everything from just your everyday comedy, your historical films. You have the Shanae's and the Wandas and the Medeas. You have Def Comedy Jam. You have all these things that just tell our story and how rich we are as a people. And I love being Black,
I love it.
I
ain't nothing better. Ain't nothing better.
In addition to that, like with me being a creative and actually watching these productions, it's like I watch anything like multiple times
Yes.
because of the fact that I'm not only may I miss something while watching it or whatever the case may be, but especially music, I hear like every single instrument, every single note, and it's like I have to continue to listen to it because every time I've discovered something different, and it's so amazing to me how creative we are and how you, like I said, like we can literally give you whatever it is you want, and we are no longer allowing them to put us in a box. You know what I mean? Like we are able to produce and be whoever we want to be now, and they're not like it.
Oh, they mad. Oh, you mad?
Right.
Oh, what they got to do with me?
I love just seeing, I love seeing us. I love seeing our
I love
faces.
it.
I love seeing what we create and putting them on these major networks and, you know, taking up the space and the time, like Tashara said, just be in the space, take up space. And we are really starting to, I won't say starting to, because we have for a while, but we are getting categories of Black entertainment on Netflix. You know, so it's like we're at that point now, like we're finally being recognized in the entertainment industry as a kind of like our own separate entity, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and I love it because, I'll admit, I thought that those categories on like your Netflix, your Hulu, Amazon Primes, or whatever, it was gonna leave and just kind of dwindle out once, like, Black
Because
Lives Matter and all that.
it's like it all
Yeah.
started in February for Black History Month, and I just knew in March it was not going to be
It was gone.
Right. And I'm just like, okay. So yeah, they need to stick with that.
Everybody's on board.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sorry. I love how everybody's on board with it. Everybody's on board. Everybody's with the movement. Everybody is feeling the vibes. When I moved to Chicago, like being in Texas and being in Chicago, it's like two different places because everybody in Chicago was like pro Black. It was Black Lives Matter everywhere, whether you were on Michigan Avenue or whether you was in a hood, wherever. It was vocal. It was they're a city that's about everybody. And I definitely enjoy that everybody loves it. But in Texas, it's different.
It is different, but Texas, we're getting there, and we have a lot of advocates, and I think just everyday people that have these type of conversations that want to make change. And you're not going to water down my history, is what you're not going to do. One of the things that, for me, this is just my opinion, I see a lot of debate about Black cinema, and people are getting tired of the slave stories, or the triggered type of movies, like the one that just came out, Them. But my thing is, we're already fighting a society that tries to water down our history. In the history books in schools, they're calling slaves workers. Workers.
Girl.
No, you took entrepreneurs, engineers, doctors, teachers from their land and brought them over unwillingly and then became slaves, but not workers. And I'm afraid that we're going to lose that if we continue to just say, I don't want to see those type of movies anymore. I'm not saying that's what all Black people are about, but we need those. You need to know who the real inventors were. You need to know about the laws that happened, or, the couples that, fought a trial for how long because he was white, she was Black. You need to know these things. And I'm just one for it. Them, I thought was a really good production. So
I feel a different type of way about it. I'm tired of seeing it.
Okay.
I am too, because it's like,
I get it. I get it. We were slaves.
But you know what though? But now that you did make a point, Star, like, all right, like my kids, I'm tired of it. Like, I know, I already knew what went on, but
we're older.
My kids, but she made a good point. We need our younger generation to see this as well. Now that I think about it, I do need Cash and Parker to see, where we come from, what happened to us, and why we fight so hard and why we work so hard to make sure, you guys don't have to go through just anything period that we went through. So
That's true.
And I think that there's a lane for everybody, right? Like we should definitely continue to show our history. So like Star said, that it doesn't get watered down. But I also want to see more positive images of us. Like I just absolutely love.
That's why I love Tyler Perry.
I'm not gonna do that. But I just love the fact that like I was watching the Mahalia Jackson movie on Lifetime. Like I want to see more of those images, like in parts of our history thrown in as far as the prejudices that we face, et cetera, et cetera, because those are the people that had to go through those things. So seeing that's more of like what I'd love to see is like the Mahalia Jackson. I haven't finished it, but if you guys have not watched it, I suggest that you do.
I need to watch it. And Billie Holiday, right? That is
it's like the
Yes.
People versus Billie Holiday or something like that.
what is it?
Isn't the movie called like The People or something versus was
I
that?
think so.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was actually very, very good.
Yes.
I heard it was really
Watched
good.
it.
So I think I'm gonna take a look
Yeah.
at it.
And we definitely need positivity, not just the historical aspects of Black culture, but definitely
Right.
positivity in the dramas, the thrillers, the comedies, just all that. We it.
And
One
music
slave
too, like
movie.
the influences that we've made on music that
Oh,
I feel like we don't get the recognition for. Like they, I'm going to stop saying they. I have to stop saying
well,
they.
what are you gonna
But
say?
our music has
Beyonce.
influenced so many other genres of music that are very popular, and
Yeah.
we just need to be recognized a little bit more.
Well, you're
It
not
was
gonna tell me Black people didn't invent country music, i.e. Chuck Berry, or
Right.
had a very strong influence on that. Like, okay,
I
and
just
then
watched Cadillac Records the other
did you watch?
day. I
Right,
did.
there you go. Speaking
I
of,
tell you one thing that really does piss me off, and you guys, y'all brought it to my attention, about the pay differences between the just Black entertainers, period. And the one story that y'all brought to my attention, it was Taraji getting paid chump change on that Benjamin, what's
Benjamin Button.
the movie? The Benjamin Button movie where he aged backwards or something.
Yeah.
That is, as far as Black entertainment, that's something that I would love to see change. I feel like we're just as important as any other race, in that category, in that job. And I really just want to, I just want to see us being valued more, because we bring a lot to the table. We bring so much to the table, and we're just not appreciated.
Definitely. And for that reason, Tyler Perry will always have my respect for
And that's what, yep. And I love him for that, because he gives us so many opportunities like nobody else is. I love it.
The opportunity and the fact of the empire he basically built, the studio and his whole, I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you how much his studio is worth. I'd say the wrong numbers. He'd be like, girl, that's
Right.
nice. But I mean, that's awesome. He's literally putting on for us. So, and Des, to your point with music, what?
I was going to get into the Tyler Perry conversation.
Go ahead, real quick.
So I feel a little bit indifferent about Tyler, because of the fact, like y'all said, I love the fact that he's giving so many opportunities to our people, right? And he created this empire. But when are we going to grow this empire? Like, when are we going to provide for better productions in this empire? Like,
hold on,
who does your wigs, Tyler?
I was about to say you better not. I was finna say you better not say what I think you, and you did.
You talking about a fall from grace with the wig and the
all of them.
All of them. Now, here's the thing for me. I love Tyler, and like I said, I love everything that he's doing. Tyler produced much better plays than movies, in my
Love the
opinion,
plays.
because of the production factor is so low. And I'm like, why are we? When are we going to like fix it? But if we get there, which he can get there, I just feel
Definitely.
like he needs to open himself up more. Because he likes to have his hands in a lot of different things, and he needs to allow the people that you built this empire for to come in and provide that creativity in which to help your production grow even more.
Right.
Okay, we'll get Tyler on the phone after the show, and have him come do
Absolutely.
an interview
Yeah.
next season.
We'll go ahead and do that.
We
Just
need
do
He
not
wasn't
come as
playing.
Medea. I just
He
want
wasn't
Tyler.
playing.
Don't put your Medea moo on Tyler. Just
Right.
talk to me.
we need
But I love you though. It's like I said, I wish you all the best
All
in
love.
your endeavors. Like I just want to see more for you. I believe in
Yeah.
you and in what you're doing. I want to see more.
No, that's
Love you,
valid.
Tyler.
Like, that's a valid argument that I see on social media, just personally, when there's something that's a Tyler Perry production, people talk about the wigs or the green screen, or you could tell this or that. So, I mean, that's just being
Right.
honest. That's not hate, shade. That's just a question we want answered.
We see it. Everybody see it.
Yeah,
Everybody see
definitely.
I'm doing my uncle.
it.
So one thing I did want to touch on, Des had mentioned music. And I mean, how we were talking about music, right? And I just love how eclectic we are with all type of genres. And not only that, but just how we can just switch up in a verse alone, 16 bars, and we go stupid on some.
It's 16
And
bars.
one of the things I thought about is, unfortunately, we lost 3 pioneers in the game. The most recent being Shock G, aka Humpty Hump, from Digital Underground. And I mean, I've been a fan since I was, younger, and listening to Sex Packets, the album, and should know, but I can recite
Not have been
it.
at all.
But just how he could go from his his, what am I trying to say, personality, going from Shock G to Humpty Hump in a verse type of deal, and just having that, just that flavor and that style that we give off. And that's just naming one.
Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that. Nobody.
Yeah. So it's awesome.
It's amazing. And I feel like there's a lot of creative people in this world that don't get what they deserve because of their looks. Like it bothers me that looks are all a factor, especially at this point in 2021. Like looks is not everything. Like just imagine like all of the negative comments that what is her name, Lizzo got, because she's a big girl and she was trying to be body positive for big people.
I think
Don't get into what the content is, just stick to the surface. Because I know she about to get deep into it.
Go ahead, Jen.
No,
What?
we didn't.
Go ahead,
We did not body shame her. She was doing love you, Lizzo.
No, I'm not even saying
Love
about
Lizzo.
us. Like there were some people that were body shaming her,
Yeah.
but the ones that I'm referencing again
Or
is
the one,
different.
yeah. Got you. I got you.
Like Tashara just said, take up space. I love that for Lizzo. I love that she is putting that out into the universe. I love to see it.
Yes. What?
It's funny.
What happened?
I'm not gonna. I don't
Oh
want to
my
say this.
goodness.
Shay said take up space, and I was about to say that she took up quite a bit of it.
Do not do my girl Lizzo.
but I love Lizzo. I'm plus size too.
Let me tell you something.
We don't talk.
You know what? I'm gone. I see y'all.
Lizzo is so talented, just as a singer, songwriter.
Yeah.
And then
for
on
sure.
top of that, just how damn confident she is.
Period.
And I mean, that's what we need, because it's just so much out here, so much pressure for girl. If you're too skinny, if you're too big, if you're a size 10, you're plus size, and the society and stuff like that.
Oh.
Then, Black women had too big of lips and big butts. Now they out there getting BBLs, and it's just like, what more do you want
What
from
you want?
me?
Right.
Right.
It's just so crazy. But for me,
Everything.
Yeah.
Wet.
Now, Des, for me, being a brown skinned girl, I hate the fact that I feel like a lot of brown skinned girls in the industry aren't getting put on like light skinned or red bone girls. And I hate that because it's like we're talking about within our culture, there's still colorism. And it's like, what's her name? She is from Dallas. It wasn't Deadria. She was a singer from Dallas, signed with Jermaine Dupri. And Dondria, thank you. I apologize, Dondria. And she never really got that full recognition, and she can blow. That girl.
It's like Normandy, and then it's another girl.
Justine.
It's like there's an exception. There's some type of dark skinned girl that is like the exception of everybody. Like who do they say? What's the girl's name? Like Ryan Destiny.
Girl, that is my girl.
She is beautiful, but the thing is, if you're dark skinned, you have to look like her aesthetic. Like it has to.
Who did you say?
Ryan Destiny.
Oh, Ryan Destiny, yeah.
Yeah, they say that's like the,
beauty.
If you're a darker, like that's what you need. That's the beauty.
But she is a beautiful girl, but
yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah.
I feel like all dark-skinned women are beautiful, me myself. But but yeah, like Normani is beautiful.
Yeah.
Everybody is beautiful. I don't like the way that people did Jordan Woods when she got a little chunky, but
Jordan light skinned though. She unfortunately, like, she good.
She's still thicker than all of her friends. So like when they all went on vacation a few years ago, they were all like skinnier, but everybody talked about Jordan. And I was like, I don't really I don't like that they talked about my girl, but love all women, Black women in general. Love them.
Right.
Yeah.
Love people. Like you should love people, period. And but as far as like I feel like that because of all these different things that we discussed, right? Like the colorism, and the fact that I feel like a lot of hatred comes from other cultures that don't understand us. And because of that, they fail to like want to be interested in our culture and our, how we are creatively or any aspect of our lives, really, because of the fact that they don't want to give us the positive feedback that we deserve. And it's just crazy to me that a lot of people are so standoffish. Like, for instance, since we're talking about music, the negative connotation of when they hear rap or hip hop, and the first thing that their response is, well, y'all talking about drugs and fat asses and killing people and murdering people. Well, we're telling our story because of what we have to deal with, what we were forced to be after y'all let us be free.
And we're not talking about these little fugazi clout chasing,
oh my God,
rappers. We're talking about lyricists, hip hop artists.
Absolutely.
Just had to make that clear.
Because there's a difference.
There is a difference.
And now that you say that, where do you see Black entertainment in 10 years?
Well, first, I just wanted to say, to sum it up, Des, they want our rhythm, but not our blues.
That's a good way to put it.
That's good. That's real deep. I
read it somewhere. I can't tell you.
I heard that before. I'm like,
yeah. I know.
So you say where you see, or just Black entertainment?
Where do you see Black entertainment?
I feel like we are going to conquer this shit. I feel it in my bones. I feel it because we're doing so much now. Look at us, man. Look at what we're doing. I mean, we have Tashara out here. I mean, we have our actors and singers that have been here. Let's just Beyonce is paving the way for us to conquer this shit. And if she, if she continues to do what she does, what she's already done enough.
Period.
She's already done enough for us to be able to take over this shit. And again, I just feel like in the next 10 years, we're gonna be on top of this shit. Can't nobody tell us shit. you already you've never been able to outdo us anyway, period. But now we put it in your face and let you know, now we're here to stay, and we're not going anywhere. It's us. It's going to be us. I just feel like that for our culture in general. In 10 years, I feel like it's going to be totally different than what it is now. For sure.
We're on
I'm
board.
a little nervous.
So
though.
think it's forward.
Yeah, and let me tell you why I'm a little nervous. Because I feel like our children um have been disserviced, especially with this pandemic. And so I've talked to some kids, and they're just not all there. It scares me that that person could possibly be performing my open heart surgery. And I don't know
We're running this
if
country.
I'm
We are
ready
Black
for that.
entertainment. We are not talking about.
Listen, if the world believed
Well,
in
just, I
But
mean,
those
even,
are our producers. Those are
That's
our
true.
right.
directors.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah,
our
you're right.
engineers, technical engineers.
You're
if the
right.
It makes me
world
nervous that I'm gonna be listening to, like,
Don't
But
do
in
it.
even
10
music
years, though,
now. I
Desmond,
can't even listen to it.
but in 10 years, things are going to be different, period, from the
yeah,
way there may be new discuss. You said you don't want anybody cutting on you or whatever the case may be. There may be different studies that they found to where they're doing procedures differently or easier or to make it better for you or just I think that because damn, did we have it all together? Did we
nah,
know everything?
yo,
Hell
Um,
no.
yo.
but I feel
So
like it's different when you're not
and the
actually,
thing is,
But,
because
you
we
can't
were
think like
forced to
that.
learn when we were
Do
physically in
but we
school,
have to
and it's
survive.
like
We were
now
forced
there a
to
lot of
survive.
kids are virtual, like
yeah.
they can just,
They don't even be showing up to class.
because I've seen it with my
Like,
eyes, like they literally Google the question, copy and paste the
But
answer,
has the
like.
you
school
are
system
not.
ever been? Has the school system like really ever been for? Okay, I
Yeah.
guess that's a different
Well,
topic.
I'm gonna answer that, but I want to hear Shay was trying to say something. We learned to survive.
We learned how to survive. I feel like as a Black culture, we learned how to survive. We learned how to do the things that we needed to do in order to be successful. But if the world believed in Donald Trump, we can believe in our kids because it's our kids, because it's us, because we have the power to raise them. We have the power to instill greatness in them. It starts from birth. Star, you pregnant? You know, it starts from the womb. Like we
Yeah,
have
for
that
sure.
ability to create our kids, to mold our kids into the great people that we are, and we all
Right.
are here. So the
It
world is
is.
great. Black people are great in general, though. Like
My
some of
thing,
us are a little, but most of us are great.
yeah. And Des, you got to look at it this way. You say our kids like they're not all there, which they can't be. Which they probably are not. But you have to be an example to them too. So don't just say, you know,
Desmond ain't having kids.
I just don't have no hope. Like you just be the example. If you see them, going down the wrong path
Want
or
and
whatever the case
see,
may
I
be,
want, and I that's what I want. I want to be able to give that to my child. I'm
and
still
do
trying to
it.
find somebody to,
Oh,
Do it
I'm
for the
gone, y'all. All
kids,
right, it was real.
for the teens that are already
Oh,
here in this world. But as an educator, for a predominantly Black and Hispanic school district, I will say yes, there are a lot that have checked out. And it is frustrating. It's downright
damn.
just
Way to
annoying
put it.
for a
Check
teacher.
out.
Like I'm counting down the days of summer, but I say that and then I turn around and I give them this whole lecture about why I haven't received everybody's assignments. Or you like your money, don't you? You like your paycheck to be right, don't you? Well, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to get paid. If
Exactly.
you
right.
don't do what you're supposed to do for my journalism classes, you're not going to get that grade. And so I will say this, there's going to be bad apples in every generation, right? But I still have hope because just kind of reading some of their assignments I might give to them for like a mental check to see how they're doing. A lot of them have really stated that this helped them to gear up for like college life when they didn't even think that's the route that they were going. Having to be virtual, having to have that assignment in by 11:59. I'm like, yeah, Blackboard is real. And
Yeah.
college isn't for everybody, but you know what? There's trade schools, there's entrepreneurship, there's the military. Thank you for those that serve. So our generation, they're going places, but this was that kick in the butt that they really needed, and it's up to us as adults, as parents, as just citizens in the community to be like, get your together, because that's what they
Right.
need. It's not just the parents at home. I've had so many parents call and just be like, I don't envy you. Like, I don't envy you what you're doing as a teacher, but thank you. Thank you for caring. And my response to that is, thank you for being an active parent to at least reach out to me and call. So it takes the community, it takes the school, and it takes the household. We have to do it together. And that's what's going to get us and gear us up for 10 years, where we're going to be more of a force to be reckoned with.
I can agree with that. I appreciate that because I didn't even think about your perspective of it, like what you're actually seeing in these classrooms. So I definitely appreciate that. And like
Love opinions.
100%.
This is like, I'm over them.
It makes me see
I am though, because I'm not gonna get into that. Well, let's go ahead and get into this word of mouth.
Oh, it just keeps on going. Okay.
So there was an article, y'all, that was just released. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but I was literally just on Zoom and seen it on CNN.com. There was a guy, Isaiah Brown, that was shot in Virginia he was on the phone with the 911 operator, and the body cam, when the family, well, I guess the family just got the footage, but the body cam wasn't pointed at him during the recording, and he was on the phone with the 911 operator. But it's just, we were supposed to have a completely different word of mouth, and that just happened, and it's draining. It's draining.
So he was with the officers.
He called 911 and he was arguing with his brother, is what the article said. And I quote, obviously a failure of communication is what the article said. Like, it was obviously a communication error between the dispatcher that answered the 911 phone call and the cop, because the cop thought he had a gun, but I guess what, it wasn't given what the 911 dispatcher said to the actual cop, but it's just, I feel like it's more to the story. But
What's the name?
His name is Isaiah Brown.
So we're saying that Isaiah Brown was in, I don't want to use the word custody, but was he getting a ride home from the officers, or did they let him in?
So he had given him a ride home early, like that. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He gave him
And
a ride.
then somewhere,
I just heard about
went
that
wrong.
shit.
Something went wrong.
So I think time had passed, like between the time they took him home and
The
at that
call
point,
later.
because there was so I guess he got home, got into some type of altercation with his brother, called 911. While on the call, the police officer comes up, right? And he's still on the phone with the 911 dispatcher. I heard part of the recording because when she was watching it, like this is all like news to us, like right before we started recording this episode. So I could hear, what she was watching on her laptop, and I could hear because they played the recording of the 911 call, and all I could hear was the dispatcher's like, "Do you have your hands up?" He
Right.
was like, "Yes," like he's screaming into the phone, "Yes," because I'm sure he has his hands up and trying to talk on the phone like this. "Yes, I have my hands up." Like it's. How do
Oh
you
my
think this is a gun?
goodness.
How do you
And then
think this phone is a gun?
oh my goodness.
We just gonna put it out there. He knew it wasn't.
He knew
it was
it
not
wasn't
a gun. He knew that.
So they were
He
My
also
thing
wanted to
is the
shoot somebody.
dispatcher. He's on
Tired
the
of
phone with the
talking about this
dispatcher.
shit.
Why
Like,
can't the dispatcher say it's a phone
he had a
with his
gun.
hand? He's talking to me. I'm so
I'm
confused.
They said that the dispatcher also said too that they asked him if he had a gun, and his response was yes and no, so they were confused.
Okay.
But we're too old. At this big age, we should not have communication errors like this in the world. I don't know. I pray this man makes it through and can pull out of this.
So he didn't die.
Happen.
No, he did not die.
He's
Okay.
on critical condition.
Come on, baby. Let's get up so we can tell you,
so we can get
your
the
story.
true story.
Yeah, so you can tell your
Please,
story
please.
because what? I'm just like, I'm tired of hearing about it, a Black man being shot, but at the
Yeah, I'm
same
sick of it.
time,
I
I
mean,
want
look,
to know like what exactly took place, what went down. But my first
Right.
thought, just giving what I've been given, is that officer knew it wasn't a gun.
Absolutely no.
I'm gonna go with that.
Because I don't understand how this failure to communicate or whatever could happen with him being on the phone with the police dispatcher, who also can communicate to the police officer at the
don't
same
shoot him.
time. Like,
Right.
why is there not a conversation of it's, I don't want to say
Right.
this,
We need a
but
10
I'm gonna say it.
or something.
It's this, like, at this point, who is this dispatcher and why is she working here? Because she's not doing a very good job. Like,
Right.
there's no way in hell
We
you
need
can tell
answers
me
from
that
everybody.
have this person on the phone and you have a totally different system to be able to communicate real time with this officer, and you didn't do that.
Wow. Yeah, y'all are gonna make me go to CNN, Sean King. I know Sean. What's up, Sean?
Oh yeah.
I know Sean King has it up. So everything.
Right.
Now, okay,
Absolutely.
Des, real quick, you were telling us something about Oklahoma.
Yes. So I came across an article that mentioned that protesters in Oklahoma, like drivers, can unintentionally
Oh,
run over like protesters and not be like penalized or charged with anything for it. Like, I would love to hear the conversation of proving unintent in the courtroom. Like, like I would
Okay.
love to hear that conversation.
So I'm confused. I'm just trying to make sure that I heard you correctly. Because last year in the spring, when all of these protests were going on, I was like in Victory Park because that's where I lived at the time. And I was just out and about. And I went to this restaurant and a protest came through because they were coming through Victory Park like heavy every day, every weekend, every hour. I love
Peaceful, mind you. Peaceful
it was
protesters, mind you.
peaceful. It was very, very peaceful. It wasn't anything that I saw was wrong with what they were doing. And like I said, we were used to it at that point because they were rolling nonstop, protest, protest, protest. So we're at this restaurant walking, seeing them walk through, and this lady pulls her Mustang like into the crowd of
Yes, I remember
protesters.
that.
I
Yeah.
put the video on my social media platforms, but that it was pretty brutal to see that in person because like why are you so mad that you turned like wasn't even in a lane that was correct in the first place. You are intentionally wrong trying to hit them. It's like they were coming this way and she like swerved into this lane. Ma'am, they coming this way. Like
And there's already been deaths that have occurred by vehicle of people
Mm,
protesting, not just saying in Texas, but I do know for sure, when protesting was heavy, I did hear about, unfortunately, people lost their lives. And I want to go and look back because I feel like the bill that was passed or, whatever was written, they used the word rioters. Did they
yeah,
say rioters?
you
See
did
that
say right.
wordplay, baby. I'm a journalism major. See, now you got to watch that wordplay because now what is the definition of rioting? And then who is that person behind the wheel to determine a rioter compared to a protester that's practicing peaceful protests? Oh, but
exactly.
they're in your way. So now you could skirt and off them.
And run them over and
Yeah.
be okay with it. Like, how do you live with yourself? How do you possibly run over a person, right? Regardless of if they were walking
a
down the
lot of
street.
them do. A
Because
lot of
what
I
if
was
it
them.
was
gonna
a
say,
pedestrian that
A
was
lot of
just
them live
walking
with.
down the street and wasn't even protesting? You know what I mean?
tell
Like,
you something.
how do you pick and choose? Like you said, sir, how do you pick and choose your target?
They
All
don't.
you
They
see.
like Jen said, they can go home and lay their head on that pillow at
They
night with no
can.
second guessing.
Exactly.
It's
Everybody
just another one gone.
exactly. Everybody that was there that was just witnessing it too. It just felt discouraging like at that time to see everybody just saying this woman wasn't in the wrong. Because Victory Park, it's a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
We got you.
yeah. We know.
it nobody was like on our side. So it's like, let me pull out my camera, started recording. Like if anything happened from this point forward, it's on camera. Because at this point it's really sad to see that still happening in America.
I think that, and this is just my opinion, I think that the agenda is loud and clear. This was geared towards a
Absolutely.
certain type of people, a certain type of movement. America, we see you.
But we
We
ain't
see
going
you.
nowhere
Absolutely.
either, so be used to it.
We're
We
not going anywhere. So Wendy, Missy, ain't you tired?
And
Ain't you
I think
tired?
that's the plan. I think the plan is to try to run us off or wipe us out. But where the hell are we going? You want to go? I mean, it's a lot of, go back to where you came from. Nigga, take us back.
Well, then the ones saying that they need to too.
but we like
Right, exactly.
we take that for Hispanics and Mexicans, especially because we wouldn't have none of this stuff if it wasn't for them slaving in the sun in Texas, building our houses, building our roads. Typically, those are the only people that
Because
take
who
the
else gonna do it?
our janitors, everything. So I really
Yes.
hate that people say go back to where you came from because who gonna do that if they leave? Like nobody else wants to do
Who gonna
it.
do it?
So we need to appreciate people that do the hard work, the nitty gritty work
And y'all are damn good
that
at it. Right
we
ahead.
reap the benefits of. Like we reap the benefits of them building our mansions, our houses. We relaxing and chilling, and they got to go to work the next day still.
They are very admirable,
Like
hardworking
hard
people.
workers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Really,
Thank you so
seriously.
much. Because, like she said, we definitely need, like, there is a need for every culture in this country, and no
Yeah.
culture or, ethnicity is less than the other. So, I mean, just
That's just
love
boring.
everybody, regardless of how they look, because at the end of the day,
We're all
everything
here
that
for
you utilize on a daily basis was probably created by someone of a color. So
Yeah.
appreciate that and appreciate all the melting pot of cultures that America is. But again, America, we see you. And with that being said, unless somebody else has another
Yes,
question or
I
statement,
was
okay, go
just
ahead.
going to say, no, I just wanted to say for those that are non POC, people of color, and specifically Black people, but definitely Hispanic or other nationalities, races, however you want to say, ask yourself, would you want to live your day, your week, your month, your year as a Black person or a Hispanic person? Would you want to go out and live your day like that? And if you say no, ask yourself why you say no. Because that means you see the injustices that are going on when it comes to people of color. And then ask yourself, what are you doing to fix that?
Come on, Jane Elliott.
Why you're choosing to ignore it, because you see it. There's no way nobody in this world can see what is going on.
Not a
So
normal
ask
person.
yourself, in addition to that, why you're choosing to ignore it.
Yep.
And on that note, I love y'all so much.
Me too.
And
This was
Love you
um,
too.
awesome.
season 2 was a great season.
I really
We
enjoyed
taking a break
season
for a little
2.
minute. We coming back season 3, possibly in the studio. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. Because I'm so excited. I'm so ready to be next to Star, because I want to be like 2 seats over from Jen so her breath don't waft over. I love y'all so so much. Make sure you guys check out mouthful-tv.com to see everything that we're still going to be doing, even though we're not filming anymore. We're still going to be hosting events. So make sure you check out that events tab on our website. Again, that is mouthful-tv.com. Make sure that you go to a taste of the culture.com as well, because like liquor can still be mailed even though y'all not looking at us. Like that can still happen. And make sure you use Mouthful as the promo code for 25% off your subscription. And also make sure that you tune into our Instagram live right after this to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
And one last thing that I do want to do is I want to thank any and everybody that has joined us this season,
Thank you so
promoting your
much.
businesses, your brands. I love each and every one of you guys. I've spent so much money with so
Oh,
many of you. And
Bro,
so we appreciate you guys for joining us on our episodes for our small business segment. We appreciate you guys so much.
yes. Perfect, Des. I love y'all.
I
Love you
love y'all
too. Can't wait
too.
to start recording again.
June.
Peace
We'll
out,
be
y'all.
back in
Thank
June,
you.
y'all.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for joining again.
Yes.
Bye.
Awesome.
Thank y'all.
Peace.